I left Rock Lee out when I originally did Toji versus the Sasuke retrieval team, and when I did that, a ton of people got mad at me because technically Rock Lee should be there. So here is me correcting that mistake and doing Toji versus Rock Lee. This video is going to be split into two different rounds. The first round will be Toji at full power with all of his curse tools versus Rock Lee with his weights on without access to any gate except the first one. And in the second round, we'll remove this handicap from Rock Lee and he can fight with his weights off and open up to the 5 gates we know he has access to. Aside from that, these characters will be in character for the actual fight, meaning I'm only going to say they would employ tactics they've already done before or logically would do going off of past actions. Before we begin, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel as I greatly appreciate it. To begin round 1, we'll start out with speed since both these guys sort of specialize in it. Toji's speed scaling is fairly straightforward, but Rock Lee's can be a bit complicated to go over, mainly due to inconsistency. But regardless of inconsistency, while weighted, Rock Lee is either vaguely beneath Mach 1 or vaguely above it, but let me stop yapping and actually get to explaining it. In chapter 23 of Naruto, he saves Inari from a couple of no-names. While in the process of that, he speed blitzed them, and one guy went out of his way to calculate how fast Naruto would have to be in order to pull something like this off in 0.013 seconds using the average reaction time of a young adult, and it comes out to around Mach 1.19. Obviously, Rock Lee would be faster than this considering how he completely embarrassed Naruto just prior to the Chunin exams, and it gets even more consistent when you remember Rock Lee was dodging sound in the forest of death against Dosu and the other sound ninja, except that isn't what happened. In the forest of death, Rock Lee never actually dodged sound, and it's actually implied that he's slower than it by Dosu. Most people would recall Rock Lee dragging a tree root out of the ground to block Dosu's attack as Lee is moving faster than sound, but what Lee reacts to and blocks is Dosu himself. He even admits that he can't see the attacks they're throwing and thinks they're just illusions. Dosu later says that Lee's moves might be fast, but theirs are supersonic. That wording obviously implies their attacks are faster than Lee, but let's be completely fair. Supersonic could be anywhere from Mach 1.1 to Mach 2.5, and these sound attacks seem to be guided by the sound ninja's chakra, which could possibly make them faster. If you lowball the sound ninja to the max of Mach 1.1, Lee not being faster than their attacks makes the Naruto calc from earlier invalid. If you interpret Dosu's words to mean the utmost of supersonic, then the speed scaling could still be consistent and having Lee some vague amount beneath Mach 2.5. Applying even more context, Lee had already used the first gate at the point Dosu made the statement implying their attacks are faster than Lee's, and the first gate is implied to be a 5 times multiplier when it's described by Guy, who says it gives you access to 100% of your muscular energy when you're normally only able to access 20%. Even assuming Lee is the max of supersonic being Mach 2.5, he'd have to be Mach 0.5 or slower than sound and bass for that to be the case. With this all being stated, we have a couple different ways to look at this. Either Rock Lee didn't go his hardest on Dosu even when using the first gate, basically saying even though he had access to 100% of his muscular energy, he didn't use it, or Rock Lee is slower than sound with his weights on. Reminder that Lee being faster than sound does have some consistency with the Naruto calc I mentioned earlier, but aside from that, like I said, you can look at these however you want. But it ends up just like I said in the beginning, Rock Lee is either vaguely beneath Mach 1 or vaguely above it. This will become more important after we talk about Toji, who, like I mentioned, is very straightforward when it comes to speed scaling. Toji is equal to Maki, and Maki was dodging Curse Spirit Naoya, who can move at Mach 3, and even tagging him with punches on certain occasions. This does put us in another vaguely above situation where Toji is vaguely above Mach 3, but this isn't without its inconsistencies either. Maki, when she was much weaker, performs a feat above being Mach 3, but she got blitzed by Naoya at Mach 3 after becoming stronger, but not yet equal to Toji. Gege does mention that they think the feat was too much for Maki, so I think it's fairly safe to say that it was either retconned or Mai's bullet just isn't all that fast and Maki catching it isn't very impressive. There is a very weird statement that Gege makes during Weekly Shonen Jump in 2022, where after the Maki and Naoya chapters, he says, "You went from infinite to Mach. Are you okay? For all you thinking that, I agree with you." This statement really seems like pure yap to me, I'm not going to lie. I kinda can't figure out what Gege is talking about. It's possible Gege is talking about Gojo's infinity or Gojo sitting in prison realm where no time exists. However, there is no correlation between those things and when Naoya went Mach 3, other than the fact that they are both in the Jujutsu Kaisen manga. But at this point in the manga, Gojo had been sealed away for over 100 chapters and close to 2 years of in real world time. It should be clear from here that Toji is normally going to be faster than Rock Lee in this round, but that's obviously depending on your opinion of if what I went over earlier. If you think Rock Lee is slower than Sound in base or around Mach 0.5 or lower, like what I went over, then even with the first gate open, he's not going to be able to hit Toji, and that has pretty dire consequences for a reason I'll go over in a minute. If you think Rock Lee is faster than Sound in base while weighted, like I said, then his speed would be able to go as high as Mach 6 as a low ball, just scaling him off the Naruto calc we talked about earlier, and assuming he goes all out when using the first gate, taking advantage over all the 5 times boost it allows him access to. This would make him faster than what Toji has shown capable of reacting to, but the thing about Maki and Naoya is they were never close in speed after her awakening. She effortlessly dodged him while still getting the hang of her newfound power, meaning Toji would be able to react to the thing even faster than Mach 3. How much faster is a bit unclear, but Maki is able to react to Sukuna's Nue lightning, which is consistent with Hikaru reacting to Kashima's lightning strike that has been calced anywhere from Mach 0.7 to Mach 8 to Mach 547 to Mach 4670 to Mach 6855. Any of these could have their own consistency built for them, but I think Mach 0.7 is the most inconsistent, so I'll be ignoring it for the rest of the video. Regardless which of these other ones you subscribe to, they're all faster than Lee, and Toji should scale to them via Maki scaling to them. Aside from that, Toji also has precognition via the atmosphere telling him how his opponents will move, so I think it's safe to say even if Rock Lee is faster than Toji, that anything he can be scaled to wouldn't be faster than what Toji can react to, and if he uses the first gate, it's obviously going to tire him out, making it even easier for Toji to win. About how he wins, we'll talk about the Soul Split Katana, a katana that allows Toji to quite simply negate durability and cut the soul. These are 2 separate abilities of the sword as told in a different translation by Lightning. I'm sure anyone who has read JJK is well aware of the insane mistranslations done by Viz. Lightning is the translator that corrects most of Viz's mistakes for the community and is an official translator who has actually worked for Viz before. He actually officially translated JJK chapter 236. The only time this sword's ability has been called into question is when Sukuna was seemingly parrying the sword in his fight with Maki, but not only had it been previously established Sukuna can grab blades using his curse technique to summon mini slashes similar to a chainsaw, we then learn he can activate his technique without even moving a muscle, so I don't think it's far-fetched to say he was simply protecting his body with slashes. And not only that, we see after he drops this, Maki is able to cut off the same arm Sukuna was using to block the blade, making this even more likely. It is also possible what's being cut has to have a soul in order to be sliced through by the sword, or that even if it does have a soul, the soul has to be targeted in order for the durability negating aspect to work. Either way, we all know that Naruto characters have souls, and souls that can be perceived at that, so the sword should work on Rock Lee if Toji uses it. That being said, I think it's pretty irrelevant to go over each character's attack potency or how hard they hit at this point. I think it's pretty consistent that Toji moves faster than Lee or can react to what Lee does via his precognition and can slice him up with the Soul Split Katana. So round 1 goes to Toji. Toji does have higher speed scaling than what I mentioned, but for the most part I disagree with it, so I didn't bring it up in this round, but I'll be sure to go over it in round 2. Although it's most likely just going to be me debunking it. And just to go over again, this round will be Toji at full power with his curse tools versus Rock Lee unrestricted in his arsenal with his weights off and access to all 5 gates. Since Rock Lee is the person with the most new things this round, we're going to start with him, with his weights off, and progressively work our way through the gates as needed. Rock Lee with his weights off is considerably more impressive than even his gate 1 self with his weights on. Based on a calc of Gaara blocking an explosion with his sand at about Mach 29, you can scale Rock Lee even higher for his ability to simply bypass the sand through sheer speed alone, just with his weights off. Exactly how much faster you have to be to do this is unclear. For all we know, Rock Lee could be Mach 29.1, but we'll leave him at Mach 29 for simplicity's sake. This already puts him at a higher speed than Toji by a considerable amount, since Toji can only provably fight normally at Mach 3. If you remember, all the other feats Hikari performed or Maki performed with lightning reactions were either evasion feats or blocking, and to be honest, Maki's is considerably less impressive than Hikari's, at least from the calcs I've seen that put the feat anywhere from Mach 3.5 to Mach 6.7. But Rock Lee can get literally dozens of times faster from this point. As we already mentioned before this, Rock Lee's first gate should be upwards of a 5 times amp when he's at his maximum. Doing the math here is easy. 5 times 29 puts Rock Lee at Mach 145 when doing a move like the primary Lotus. The second gate isn't an amp so much as just a rejuvenation gate that restores the user's stamina. The third gate, however, is another massive boost depending on how you interpret Guy's statement here. This number could get kinda crazy. Guy says that the Lotus enables the user to draw upon strength dozens of times his usual level. At its most insane, this would mean the third, fourth, and fifth gate are all individually a 24 times amp, given the dozens statement, which is kind of insane. That would make Rock Lee, starting from gate 1, Mach 2,004,480. But this is obviously overboard. That number is around 1,537,436,160 miles per hour, or about 2.3 times the speed of light, and not what Guy meant at all, clearly. That makes Rock Lee a good bit faster than the majority of the Narutoverse. For example, Kirin is stated to be light speed in numerous databooks, and even bringing that up, people get mad and say Kirin can only be the speed of lightning. But regardless of which one you think it is, that makes Kid Lee faster than Itachi, which I'm not going to get into explaining why that's inconsistent. Anyway, it's a bit hard to tell what Lee's usual level is, since most of the time he's usually wearing these heavy weights, but I think it's fair to say it's his unweighted self in this instance, since the weights are more like a nerf than the removal of them being an amp, if you get what I mean. So going from Mach 29 and then saying gates 3rd through 5th, which are all needed for the Lotus, are 24 times, you get a much more reasonable number at Mach 696, but is still about double the speed of lightning. It is fair to point out Guy only mentions the strength of the user increases by this much, and I've only been assuming that the statement includes speed because of Lee's insane speed increase, but in reality that number could be much lower, and I probably agree that it is. Rock Lee being 2 times the speed of lightning doesn't really make sense. Regardless of Kirin being light speed, Zetsu did think the speed of a lightning strike would be too much for Itachi to evade. And granted, this was Sakura and Ino's reaction, but Kakashi cutting lightning is something they saw as pretty crazy. Anyway, I do think it would be kind of ridiculous for the gates 3 through 5 to not be as much of an amp for Rock Lee as the first gate, so at least 5 times, but this is an assumption, so you don't have to take me at my word. It's also probably a bit higher, but I genuinely have no idea what number to put on it, so I'm just gonna say 7 times for Mach 203. Remember though, this is a pure assumption. Like I mentioned already, Rock Lee should be considerably faster than Toji even with just his weights off, but there is a light speed meta in JJK that I'd like to comment on for this section. I'm going to be going under the assumption that Maki is still equal to Toji during her fight with Sukuna. If you don't think that, it doesn't really matter anyway, since like I said, I don't believe this section of the video. It's just an argument I want to cover and debunk. But if you don't want to hear that, you can go ahead and skip this section. The lightspeed meta in JJK comes entirely from Kashimo, and it's really stupid. So for the sake of the video, I'm going to agree that electromagnetic waves move at the speed of light on Earth. It's stated that Kashimo can fire these off whenever he's using his curse technique, and Sukuna happened to dodge one while seemingly being unable to dodge Kashimo himself. This panel, people have calced, assumes that the spark in Kashimo's hand is him firing the electromagnetic wave instead of him charging his attack. Why do they assume this? I don't know. I think it's pretty clear Sukuna is dodging an attack that is about to come instead of one that's already coming. They try and use the next chapter as consistency for this, since Sukuna sent a world slash and cut Kashimo's beam in half, but for all we know, this isn't even a blast of EM waves. The startup sure doesn't look the same, so saying it's the same attack is kind of unfounded anyway. It's not like Kashimo yelled out electromagnetic wave blast and then sent a wave at Sukuna. The argument then goes to Kashimo not being able to completely dodge the world slash despite being able to tag Sukuna when his light speed waves couldn't, and then Maki dodges the world slash. While I do agree Maki is stronger and faster than Kashimo, I simply do not think these characters are light speed based on Sukuna maybe dodging Kashimo's electromagnetic waves. For the sake of simplicity as well, I think it's fair to say that Rock Lee can hurt Toji with the hits he's going to be landing at high speed. If you want a specific AP tier for it, Rock Lee is probably around multi-city block level, just scaling off of Kid Sasuke and then applying the relevant multipliers for the gates and removing his weights. Toji's durability is a bit hard to scale. Personally, I couldn't really find any calcs about it that I agreed with. While he definitely has some impressive inverse feats, durability feats like taking Gojo's red, it's still kind of hard for his cross-verse scaling. I don't really know where I would put him. Versus Battle Wiki has his durability in the same tier that I put Rock Lee's AP, multi-city block level, so even going off of that, Rock Lee could harm him. So Toji wins round 1 and Rock Lee wins round 2 pretty handily. Even if Toji did react to all of Lee's moves in weightless form, he'd never be able to actually land a hit on him due to his vague above Mach 3 scaling that doesn't even get him close to weightless Lee. And like I said before, Toji doesn't actually have any evasion feats on the level of the calcs I brought up earlier. The best is Hikari slightly moving his body in reaction to lightning, so he'll be resorting to blocking in this fight mostly, and Rock Lee can easily combo him like that because he can just keep wearing at his defense.